I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. If everyone would please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And while I'm saying thank you, let me say thank you to everybody here in the audience. We appreciate everybody being here. And I know this has been a diligent effort to hire our new director, and hopefully we can get through this in just a few minutes. Okay. Next item is roll call. Mr. Safety.
Here.
Ms. Parris.
Here.
Ms. Hale.
Here.
Mr. Brock.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Ms. Hamby.
Here.
Ms. Boston.
Here.
Ms. Cargy.
Here.
And Chairman is here, so we are all present and accounted for. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
because of procedure, I'd like to be able to switch to the Director of Schools vote goes before anything else. Do we need to do that?
We can do the approval of the minutes and the approval of the agenda, right, Earl?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we can do that, and then we'll
defer.
switch that. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Next is the approval of the agenda, and now we need to make a change, okay? And I have read this in state law before, and but it slipped my mind, and Earl, in his great capacity of knowledge and everything, he kept me straight and narrow, okay? The state law says that anytime you do a director of schools, whenever you hire or remove a director of schools, it has to be the first item on the agenda. So we will have to move the budget items down and move the director of schools selection up to number 6.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Move up the Director of Schools vote before the other items on the
Okay. I've got a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I got a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so now, next item is the Directors of Schools selection. And what we're going to do is, first, we're going to see how everybody wants to vote to begin with. And I'll take these.
Anita, can you pass me one of your pens, please? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, if everybody would just pass them down, and we'll give them to.
Just one?
Yes, ma'am. Just select your number one person that you want to vote for director of schools. And we'll give them to Miss Hine and let her give us the results. How's that? She didn't know I was going to do that to her.
I don't know who has the hottest seat in the house.
Okay, we got everybody's.
Not yet.
Out. Okay, hang on. We'll just wait just a second.
Okay, now this. You want me to read?
Yes, you just read off. We need to read off who the board member is and who they voted for.
Okay. Shirley Paris, Michelle Barnett, Robert Safety, William Stepp, Tony Brock, William Stepp, Rebecca Hamby, Rebecca Farley, Teresa Boston, Rebecca Farley, Chris King, Rebecca Farley, Stace Cargie, Stephanie Barnes, Jimmy Inman, William Stepp, Anita Hale, Rebecca Farley.
Okay, we got Ms. Farley with 4 votes, Mr. Stepp with 3 votes. And then we've got 2 others with just 1 vote. Okay? So my recommendation is to take Dr. Farley and Mr. Stepp and have a vote just between those 2, since, you know, everybody else didn't get that many votes. Does that seem fair to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so we'll do round 2 voting, and the only people that will be eligible to vote for will be Ms. Farley or Dr. Farley and Mr. Stepp. Okay? I got lucky a minute ago.
Okay.
I gotta take one more.
Did say Steve. What's that on there? Somebody's marked.
Okay, if everyone would just pass them down, please.
Okay. Robert Safety, William Stepp, Shirley Paris, William Stepp, Anita Hale, Rebecca Farley, Chris King, Rebecca Farley, Rebecca Hamby, Rebecca Farley, Teresa Boston, Rebecca Farley, Tony Brock, William Stepp, Stace Cargie, William Stepp, Jimmy Inman, William Stepp.
Okay, Mr. Stepp has 5 votes, Dr. Farley has 4 votes. So the next item would be to make a motion to offer Mr. Stepp the contract, and then if Mr. Stepp, if we can't come to terms with Mr. Stepp, then we would go to Dr. Farley.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
move to offer Mr. William Stepp the position of Director of Schools.
Okay, got a motion? Second. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So, Ms. Boston, since you're in charge of the contract committee, would you like to open up negotiations with Mr. Stepp?
Absolutely.
Okay.
With the assistance of Mr. Patton.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Now, I know it was a 5-4 vote, but any director of schools would love to have the backing of the entire board. So I would entertain a motion to make it unanimous. If you feel comfortable doing that, just until we do his contract. Because, I mean, you understand where I'm coming from, Earl?
I do. I guess I'm wondering if, because the motion to enter into contract negotiations with him was unanimous.
Oh, okay. Well, then that would cover it then.
No, I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah, I think that would cover it. Okay.
And I would not feel comfortable
Okay.
being asked to do that.
Okay, that's fine. We'll just go with that then. Okay, but we will enter in negotiations with Mr. Stepp for a contract for the director of schools.
Okay.
All right. And once again, thank you for everybody for your input. And yes, sir, Mr. Saffron.
Don't you think that it would be advisable for us to discuss, to help the contract committee focus on different items? I mean, do we want to offer them a 2-year contract, a 3-year contract, or a 4-year contract?
I think we can do that, but I'd feel more comfortable if we had a special call meeting just for that,
Well, let's
because I don't think we're ready for it right now.
let's contact Mr. Stepp, make sure he accepts the position,
That's right, okay.
and then we will enter into negotiations with him, with Mr. Patton's assistance, kind of get some idea of what
He expects.
he expects, and then we can have a special call to see what we're willing to offer, for how long, and if there's anything else in there that we need to negotiate. But let me have a conversation with him first.
Okay.
I think that would be the best move. Yes, thank you. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is the budget amendments.
Thank you for the opportunity to present these tonight. These amendments, with our early March meeting, we would really like to be able to send to the county commission for them to entertain next Monday. So we can go ahead and get these in the budget, and it will make our end of year much easier. So I appreciate this opportunity. The first one is the Transition Academy. This is a project we've been lovingly working on for several years. And this would be to take some money from some lines we are projecting we're going to have some savings in, and move it to that line with the goal of having kids in there in the fall.
Great.
Okay.
Do y'all want to do these one at a time, or do you want to take a vote on all three?
I'd like to do one at a time if we could,
One-
because I
that's
just
fine.
have a couple of questions.
That's fine. You got questions on the first one? or-
Yeah, we have to have a motion to approve.
Okay, that's true.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Discussion. Ms. Boston.
I know we talked about this, but you made a comment that last year we budgeted $150,000. We only used 82 of that. The remainder of it went back into the general fund balance? Okay, so we had 150, 82 went back in, or we spent 82, so much of that, 68 of that would have went back into, but now we need 80,000. Why did we not take that out of the fund balance using that monies?
We could, I just really don't like to touch fund balance. These lines will not be spent out this year, and it's just, I think, a cleaner transaction to move money from this year's budgeted lines for this year's budgeted expense.
And you're
For the-
comfortable that these are not going to be expended?
I am, yes. The cabling line, we recognize some savings there. Y'all will be hearing about that in the budget committee coming up. We're going to do a project next year that got funded for next year with some E-rate money. So we backed off with what we were gonna do this year, to take advantage of those funds for next year. The next line, the instructional equipment, that's our Chromebooks and our teacher laptop line. And we budgeted for the worst and recognized some price savings there. So that's where those savings are coming from. And then that last one is the Board of Education medical insurance line. This is where our retiree incentive benefit comes from. And right now, that's looking like we're gonna recognize some savings there. It's always hard to tell how much we're gonna use out of that line.
And that's just where they switch coverage?
That's where our retirees, if they meet those certain requirements, that the board pays for their insurance until they hit Medicare age.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that one's taken care of. Now the second one.
All right, the next one, the state just had a way with their timing. They dropped our summer school allocation money. I believe it was last Friday, or last Thursday. And we hustled, to be able to get this, people hired for these positions and materials, bought. We can't spend any of it until we have a budget in place. So this sets up the summer learning camp, which is for our little kids, the bridge camp, which is middle schoolers, the stream camp, which will be integrated into both of those, and then also the transportation to get the kids there.
Move to approve.
Okay, I've got a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing, yes, Mr. King.
Since this is money, folks, do we need to do a roll call?
We can. Okay. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Safton?
Yes.
Ms. Paris?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Hamby?
Yes.
Ms. Boston?
Yes.
Ms. Cargy?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Okay.
Thank you. Then the last one, you should recognize this. It's just coming at you a little bit early this year. This is our first round of the current year budget cleanup, where we look at lines that we are projecting some savings in, and we look at lines we're projecting that we've spent a little bit more in, and we try to move the money because we can't end the year in the red in any line. So this, as you can see, hits several categories. I'll be happy to answer questions about any of these.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, we'll do another roll call. Mr. Safton?
Yes.
Ms. Paris?
Yes.
Mr. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Hamby?
Yes.
Ms. Boston?
Yes.
Ms. Cargy?
Yeah.
And chair votes yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, is there any other discussion?
I just want to comment.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I wasn't at the last meeting, and I apologize, but I'd had this planned for over 2 years, so I'm sorry I missed the interviews. I did watch them. I feel bad that some of them were distorted, but I did my best to make sure that I saw everything and review the material. So I thank everybody for their time. I didn't get a chance to do it while you guys were interviewing, and I just do appreciate that. One other thing I'd like to just note, the meeting prior where we set that date, I was not at that meeting. The reason I was not at that meeting was because there was a glitch in the email system, the new email system that Ms. Diane will verify. When the notification was sent out, it did not come to my email. So I was not notified at that meeting. I did not know the meeting occurred until I saw it in the newspaper. So I apologize again, because had I been at that meeting, I would have again insisted that we do different days so I could have been there for you all. So thank you, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I have taken the blame for that.
No.
Yes, I have.
It was a mistake.
No, well, yeah, I made a mistake, because I remembered you telling everybody that you couldn't be here sometime in April, but I had it in my head that it was later on in April, and so it was my fault, because I'm the one that suggested the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Where's that gavel?
Yeah. So, but yes, I have apologized to Ms. Cargie several times because I messed up. And, but whenever I took this seat, I told y'all I'd mess up, and I have several times. But anyway, any further discussion?
Just
Yes, Mr.
one
Safety.
point. You know, this is probably the most important and the most difficult responsibility that the Board of Education has. And what we saw was 7 outstanding candidates that applied for this position. I want to, in advance, just remind those candidates that they were all outstanding in their interviews. And all of these board members, I'm sure, had a difficult decision to make. So thank all of you for attending the interviews, and thank all of you candidates for applying.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Safety, and I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. And this one was hard for me because I knew several of them. I did not know Mr. Stepp, but I knew several of them, just like the last time around. The last time around, knew all of them. But anyway, yes, you are correct. This is an extremely important decision that we've had to come to, and I know everybody on this board has taken their responsibilities to heart, and we've done the very best we could. So, and we'll move forward. Next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody, for being here again.